both act as a backup. The worst or the most difficult thing, if you want to call it that, you may ever have to do is to approve training. You'll get a request from a member who's achieved a level that you have to go to Basecamp and sign off on that. And then you go to TI and sign up on that. Oh, hi, Amy. Welcome to the group here. We're just getting started here. Okay. So let's divide the secretary's responsibilities into different time frames. We can look at what's it you need to do before the meeting, at the meeting itself, outside the club meeting, and within the executive committee. And each club is going to be a little bit different, but the fundamentals of being a secretary for a Toastmasters club will be pretty consistent regardless of which club you're involved with. So before the meeting, here's what you need to do. Post and distribute the previous meeting minutes and the upcoming agenda. Now in our club, and I see our secretary Amy is here with us, what we tend to do is to email blast the minutes out to everybody, and then, although I don't always remember to do it, upload them to FreeToast Host where they will be stored. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in the class. The reason I like to do it that way is because it gives everyone a chance, and I ask them in an email, and I think Amy does the same thing, please review the minutes and let me know if there's an error or anything I missed. If you don't like FreeToast Host, and some people don't, you could also use a Dropbox or a OneDrive or a Google Drive, any other sort of web-based or cloud-based storage system that allows all of your members to have access. The email blast I like because it goes directly to their email box. And it's true that they don't always read it, but at least you've made the effort to present it to them. The other thing you need to do before the meeting is to prepare a list of actions for the president. For example, you may have an installation coming up, and you want to remind your president, we're going to install a new member today. Have you got everything you need, all the documentation and what have you that you need to install this person? So you want to prepare a list of those actions that sometimes the president may have forgotten. You want to update the member list or the officer list, both at Club Central and FreeToast Host. And that happens if somebody changes their email address. It's important to go in there, particularly, well, both are important, but on FreeToast Host, so that they can make sure they can sign up to take roles and they can receive all of the minutes. Because that's the other way that you can use FreeToast Host really great, is to sign up, have people sign up for their role in an upcoming meeting, and then blast out that agenda to everyone with a note to say, hey, here are the roles we have filled. This is what I try to do. I look at the FreeToast Host usually on Friday, Saturday, Monday, somewhere in that time. We meet on Wednesday. So one of those days I'll send out the agenda, because I'm vice president of education in that club, in my home club, and say, hey, here are the open roles we have. Please take a moment to sign up. And then, of course, always manage correspondence if you happen to get any. Now, at the meeting, you're going to do some things that really all of us should do. Number one is welcome guests and members. Be friendly, say hello. We don't get to shake hands much anymore or see each other in person. And all of us have different opinions about Zoom and meeting online and what have you. But we still need to, I think, welcome everybody, greet our members, particularly any guests, and make them feel that we really want them to be at the meeting. You would circulate an attendance sheet or a guest book. Of course, if it's online, you can simply take the attendance and make notes to yourself. You won't have a guest book per se. And this is the thing that I don't think anybody does this. Read the previous minutes. Does anybody do that? No. That's another good reason to send them out and say in your email, please take a look at these. Let me know if there are any corrections. I will make those corrections and redistribute it before it's posted, that kind of thing. Because it just doesn't happen. It's very unusual to read the minutes, except maybe you might have some brief reminders. At my other club at Bon Appetit, we have our business meeting before the regular meeting. So that's where things get brought up. And at Early Risers, we have a brief little business after the meeting. So, but reading the whole minutes, I think that's too time consuming. It doesn't really happen much anymore. Now, also distributing the agenda. This is something that in Early Risers, we've always considered that to be the responsibility of the Toastmaster, whoever is the Toastmaster that week. In some clubs, it's the secretary that does that. In others, it is the vice president of education. So there's going to be a little bit of variety depending on really what's the tradition of your club. And that's perfectly fine as long as it gets done. We use Free Toast Host at my Early Risers Club and at Bon Appetit. So that's where we go to sign up, and then whoever is Toastmaster sends out the agenda. Another important thing that we forget about sometime is the Distinguished Club program. It's been really difficult to focus on the DCP during COVID, but it's something that we need to think about. And I know probably Gene could tell you better about struggles we've had with maintaining and recruiting new members and what have you. It's very difficult in the current environment, but we have to try our best. And Jean has lots of great ideas that I know she's always willing to share. If your club is struggling with membership, she may be able to help you. And then, of course, participate. Now, have you ever been the Toastmaster and the secretary where you're trying to take notes for the meeting? Anybody ever done that? Or is it just me? Yeah. Let me tell you what, yeah, oh, there we go. Susan's done it. Karen's done that.
I learned to delegate the note-taking to someone else if I'm Toastmaster.
Excellent, very good. That's exactly what I was going to suggest. If you have a major role, it's good to have someone you can rely on who knows how to be a secretary, or maybe it's someone that you are mentoring who's going to be the club's next secretary. You can get them some practice. And while you're being the Toastmaster, they can take the notes for you. But I have, and as many of you have, I've been Toastmaster and secretary, taking the minutes and running the meeting at the same time. It's challenging. It can be done, trust me.
Ken, okay. we had one question in the chat.
Sure.
It was just a request to have your PowerPoint. Can we have a copy of your PowerPoint presentation?
I'm glad you asked that. As a matter of fact, it is already posted on the District 115 website. Now, it has a different date on it because this is the same one I used last time. I'm trying to think of the date. But if you go under TLI and resources, you can see a copy of this to download. You'll also find on that website downloadable forms for taking the minutes. You can get those on the TI website, but I have some that I customized and use all the time that you'll find on that site that I think are just so easy to use that it makes taking the minutes quite easy. Now, if you do have any issues finding either the PowerPoint or sample minutes, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to send you what I have. Okay?
Awesome.
No problem. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some things. And this is a little redundant because outside the meeting, you're going to do a lot of the things you do before the meeting anyway. Make sure you maintain an accurate roster, both on the TI website and on your Free Toast Host. Go in, update emails, drop members when you have to. That's the other thing. If you're familiar with Free Toast Host, and we can take a look at this in a minute, you can move a member to a different category, like current member to former member. Now, the advantage of that is you can go back through your former members and send out an email to them. So you'll capture their email address and say, hey, how you doing? We miss you. Would you like to come back? Maybe consider rejoining the club. So it's a potential marketing and recruitment tool if you want to use it that way. Make sure your officer list is up to date. Most clubs, that's twice a year when we have elections. For some clubs, it's just once a year. And that's very easy to do. Handle correspondence, keep club files. Our club, my Early Risers Club, started in 1979. And I have some files in my garage. I don't know if they go quite that far, but they're pretty darn old. And one of the things that we probably don't do as well, at least I know I haven't been as careful about those files, or because they're just sitting there, is making sure that we have that history of the file of the organization, particularly the minutes. And now that we can scan everything and upload it somewhere to the web or what have you, I think that makes life a little bit easier. So that's something probably all of us, myself included, need to focus on a little more. Attend the club executive committee meetings. The times will vary. Sometimes they're before a regular meeting or after another meeting. Sometimes we just have them at the coffee shop, down the street on a different day. So it just depends. Arrange for a replacement if you're unable to attend a meeting. This is sort of related to what we talked about, where you want to have someone who can sort of be your backup. Make sure that if you're not going to be there, that the president knows and that you have made arrangements that someone will take those minutes for you. And then mentor your successor. This is another area I think all of us could do better. We could all be better mentors, myself included. I know that, I've mentored folks over the years, and I'm not sure I've always done the best job that I could, but mentor your successor as they move up into officer roles. So they're ready to take over and they're not unprepared for that role. Let's talk a moment then about the executive committee. The executive committee consists of all of the officers, all 7 officers: the president, vice president of education, vice president of membership, vice president of public relations, the secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms. This order, if you will, is also the order by which you determine the presiding officer. The president is always the presiding officer unless she's not there. If she's absent, it's the VP of education. If both of them are absent, it's the VP of membership. If all 3 are absent, it goes on down: public relations, secretary, treasurer, and sergeant at arms. So that's the sequence of who is the presiding officer, particularly in the absence of a president. And so those 7 positions make up your executive committee. Now, at the executive committee, it's like any real business meeting. There again, they say read the previous minutes. Nobody really does that anymore. When we have executive committee meetings, I send out the minutes, ask for any comments or corrections, and then they're basically approved at the next meeting. And in a moment, we'll take a look at an agenda. When it says note amendments, that would be in a real live meeting. If you were doing that, you would say, are there any corrections or amendments to the minutes? And then you would incorporate those. By asking for them in an email, it's basically the same procedure. Someone says, hey, there's a misspelling on page 3, or you got the wrong person who did table topics today. You can make those corrections and then resend the minutes with corrections. Record the current meeting minutes. Participate in the Distinguished Club Program and the Club Success Plan. If you've ever participated in a Club Success Plan, it's a lot like developing a strategic plan for a business. There is a guidebook on TI that you can download for free that will help you set out your goals and objectives and who's going to be responsible for doing what to help develop the club and to achieve President's Distinguished in the DCP. So if you haven't taken a look at that, go explore the TI website and look for those free resources that are easily downloaded. And most of them are pretty well written, easy to understand and follow. And the Club Success Plan is one of those things that I think is, again, there's such a wonderful world of resources on the TI website and experience from our fellow members, but we don't always take advantage of that. And I think that's one instance. And then make sure that you participate in special events. If there's an open house or contest or a membership drive, make sure that you are actively participating, because part of your role as an officer is to set a good example for the other members and encourage them to move into leadership roles as they develop in Toastmasters. Now, here's an example of an executive committee meeting agenda. There's also an example on the TI website, but it follows a simple pattern. First, you will have, call to order and establishment of a quorum. And a quorum is a simple majority of those 7. So you need 4 out of the 7 in attendance to have an official quorum. Then there will be the secretary's report. Typically, those are the minutes from the last meeting. The treasurer's report. Then you'll have the other officers give reports. Then any unfinished business that didn't get done or still pending for the board, any new business, and then adjourn. Now, a lot of times a new secretary makes the mistake of trying to take down every word. Don't do that. That's not minutes, that's a transcription. What you want is a summary. You want to make sure that you have a summary of the discussion, the decisions that are reached, and the voting record of the officers. Who was there and who was absent, that kind of thing. Now, if you're, I think most executive committee meetings are not meeting in person yet. Some are. We have some clubs that are meeting in person, but most are still meeting on a Zoom or a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or WebEx. And there's good and bad about the PC-based video conferencing. When I was teaching for UNLV, I hated it. I really missed the in-classroom interaction. That, to me, was so much better. For a thing like an executive committee meeting, however, it can be ideal because you can be at your home, you don't have to go out, and you can get the meeting done quickly, and you can do it in your pajamas. So those things are all great, right? And it's typically inexpensive and convenient, and it can be recorded. That's the thing, we are recording this now. I really hope no one else sees this, Karen. I'll pay you to keep it sequestered. Okay, any questions about the executive committee? All right, moving on. You guys are being awful quiet tonight. All right, let's talk about an action plan. As a secretary, how are you going to fulfill your new responsibility? What is it you feel like you need to do to get comfortable in your new role, or to re-energize yourself in a role you've played before? When will you have all of that checklist completed, and who's around to help you, and what materials and resources can you use? Well, I'll share with you a few. Let's get a checklist going. Attend the district-sponsored club officer training program. Well, you're doing that now. So hopefully the things that we've covered thus far and what we will cover till the end of class will help you prepare for your role as secretary. How many of you have read the Club Leadership Handbook provided by Toastmasters International? That's all right, don't be shy. Karen's read it, I have read it. If you haven't read it, you can download it free of charge from the TI website. And it describes all of the officers' roles, including the secretary's role. So I think it's a very useful resource program. One of the things that I think we could do better is our orientation program for new members. When they come on board as a Toastmaster, the meetings are confusing, the roles are confusing, and you can, by providing them with those kinds of resources, develop a orientation program that explains all that stuff for them. Then make sure that as a new secretary, you get a copy of the club leadership manual. They used to mail it to you, but now you just go online and download it so that you can read about your role and that the outgoing secretary mentors you. So read those materials. If you haven't had a chance yet, I highly recommend that you download that from TI. If you have a chance to meet with the outgoing executive committee, that's great, but certainly you want to meet with the outgoing secretary if you can. Sometimes, like I know I took over as secretary when the secretary moved to California or someplace like that. One of those far off foreign lands like California. I know Karen's from California, so I have to tease her a little bit. But if you meet with the outgoing secretary, talk about, what's the tradition in this club, but I don't want you to feel like you're married to tradition, because you can also be an innovator and create new ways of getting things accomplished within your club. So respect tradition, but then innovate like crazy. If you can, not if you can, you can confirm submission of the newly elected officer list. Make sure that is up to date, because that dictates really, when you do that on the TI list and on Free Toast Host, it really dictates who has what authority on those websites. For example, you can go in as secretary to the website and edit agendas and assign roles and that kind of thing, and access parts of the website that other members cannot because of your role. And the same is true on the TI website. So making sure that the roles, or the officer roles, are newly elected officers is done is really, really important. And then any other materials that may help you in your new job. Okay, so other resources, we talked about this, Free Toast Host, we're going to go there in just a minute. If you haven't been using it, I highly encourage you to use it for your meeting agendas, role tracking, member profiles, club documents, links, and what have you. So I'll take you to early risers and I'll use that as an example. And then on the TI website, has anybody spent any time looking at Leadership Central? Okay, Karen, put your hand down. Now you're just showing off. If you haven't done so, I encourage you to go to TI. We are going to go there in a little bit, and I'm going to go through some of this for you. But you need to just explore on your own. Don't worry, you cannot break the website, I promise. So go there and look under Leadership Central, and the subcategory is Club Officer Tools. The reason that's important is because there's a tutorial there. These are short, 3-4 minute videos on each officer on how Club Central works. There are other resources on club management, distinguished performance report. So it really behooves you to spend some time exploring the TI website and the Free Toast Host website. We're going to do some of that here in just a minute. We're doing pretty good on time. We're really doing well, I think. So we'll do that. But before we do, just to sort of wrap this up and get questions, here's the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan. It's item 1111. The guest book, item 84, the club officer list, and Toastmaster materials and member lists are there. Also spend some time at the District 115 website. Go to that website, you will find under the TLI tab all of these presentations, the PowerPoints and the supporting materials, things like a timers report, grammarians report, all of these things are there on the D115 website. And it's a little bit, so it's kind of like a simpler version of TI. It has a lot of great resources on it, and they're a little bit easier to find. The thing to keep in mind is anytime you go to a website, take your time to explore. Don't be afraid to go down, follow a menu tree down one path and see what's there, because you never know what you might discover. All right, does anybody have any questions so far? Everybody good?
And I don't have exactly a question, but if when you were talking about submitting the club officers list, that is the secretary's responsibility. And
Yes.
it's important for you to know whether your club is elects its officers annually or semi-annually.
Yes, very good. Good point. Yeah, our club, both of my clubs actually do it annually, but some clubs it's every 6 months. So you want to make sure you know when to do it. And then, of course, if there's a change, if you have someone who moves out of town, and I'm going to take you to that in just a moment. Any other questions? No? Okay. Let me get out of this. See where I am. Bear with me a moment, if you will. Alrighty. Let's see. We have to stop for a moment. Oh, there's everybody. Okay, bear with me. Where am I? Hold on a moment. Okay. Can everybody see that? Okay, good. I know Amy and and Jean will recognize this. This is the Early Risers Toastmasters Free Toast Host website. And this is our landing page. And I'm logged in as the VPE, so I have some access that, you know, if you had someone else come to our landing page, they would not be able to do the things I'm about to do, but you will be able to do these things as well. And you'll notice that we do have our link, because we still meet online. The other thing I want to make sure you know about, and I'm sure you probably do, but just to review, is this is where your members can go. They log in over here. They have their own login and their own password. And this is where they can sign up for a role. And you need to encourage them to do that. Here's why. When you need to see where what roles you've done, if this has not been kept up to date, it's going to be useless. You see this little icon here, the little guy? That's a meeting report. Now, if you click on that, it's going to ask you, okay, what kind of dates do you have? So let's go down here to select start date. I don't want to go to January, so back a little bit, just a few months, okay? And we'll say that. Okay, go. October 1 as the start date. Now, report basis is just what they're going to show you. But what they're going to show you, and your names will come up, Amy and Jean, I hope that's okay. When you run this, let me get this out of the way. You can see Amy. Oh, Amy was the timer on October 14th. She was Joke Master on November 11th. This is a analysis, if you will, and a tracking tool that tells you what role you played really for as long as you've been a part of the club. So it's wonderful for people who may need to go back and figure out, oh no, what is it that what role did I play? What is it I need before I can move to the next level, or I need to document. So that's a good tool. But here's something very important. Sometimes the agenda changes. I know that doesn't happen to you, right? Where you signed up, but then somebody is unable to attend the meeting. So it's really important as secretary that you come back and correct the agenda. So you see this is that little edit tool. You click on the edit tool, and then you can change. So like if Russ had not been the sergeant at arms that day, I can change that. You just drop down menu. Well, who took his place? When you do that, you will update that list of roles for all of your members. So it's really important as secretary to use this tracking tool as a benefit to your members. Anybody have any questions about that? Did you guys know that was there? Okay, well, that's another good one.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Seems like in our club, we don't have an agenda. We have an agenda that's sent out, but it doesn't seem like you can edit it like that.
Oh, yes, you can.
It doesn't seem like it's in this type of, it's in this format, but it's like a stagnant. It's a Word document or something where you can't change it, like something, that type of thing.
Well, that probably indicates that whoever's doing the agendas is not is still doing a Word document. We used to do it that way all the time.
Oh, okay.
In a Word document. If you haven't developed this on FreeToast, it's not going to work for you.
Oh,
so, and you can design this agenda any way you like. You see this up here? Let me move up here. This agenda templates and settings.
Oh.
If you go in there, for example, let me give you an example. In my club, we do, well, this is next week, isn't it? Hold on, let me go back to a regular agenda. Next week happens to be a special meeting. We're doing sort of like a table topics marathon. So I need to go back to last week so that what I'm saying makes sense. Okay, there you go. So anyway, you can design this agenda in accordance to your club needs. For example, in our club, what we started to do is we have our speakers, and then instead of going to evaluation, that's where we put in table topics. And the reason we do it that way is to give the evaluators time to work on that evaluation. Now, my other club in Bon Appetit, that's not how they do it. They do table topics first, and then they do speakers and then evaluation. So you can design this agenda for any of your club's needs. Now, as I mentioned, next week, we're going to do a special meeting. I'll pull that agenda back up. It's a table topics marathon. So you can see here in the email out, I put in, hey, this is our special table topics meeting. We will not have speakers. We will not have evaluators. All the other roles we will have, but we're going to spend a lot of our time, most of the time, doing table topics. So we'll have 10 table topics discussions. So that's very important for you to do. And the other thing that we used to do here, see this little grid here? This allows you to pull up, if we were actually meeting in person, a sign-up sheet. And you can print out a sign-up sheet for your roles going into the future. When we met in person, I used to always do this as the VPE because it would sort of force people to write something down and fill it out. Whereas what I'm finding now online, people don't always remember to go in and sign up for a role. Even though I remind them, they don't quite remember. So this is another good tool that you can use. Oops, okay, move. Okay, the last thing that I'll talk about here is this little email icon. This is a great tool for reminding people. Click on that, and there's a space here to send a message, and I'll send a message out to the club and say, hey, everybody, we still have some roles that need to be filled for the next meeting. Please go in and sign up. And then I think that's very helpful as a reminder. Although, even then, sometimes people don't always pay attention to that. Do you have any questions about this? Well, I would encourage you to go in and to play around with FreeToast and just experiment. It's really a wonderful tool. Now I'm going to go to TI. So I'm going to show you some things here. Does everybody know the shortcut to get to Basecamp? I don't see anybody moving. So if once you log in, this is my name, right? If you click on this, click on your name. Whoa, it's going to make me log in again. Okay. Sorry about this. Probably had it too, whoops. I probably was too silent for too long and it got mad at me. Okay. Made me go log in again. Sorry about that. I thought, oh, I got it all set. Okay, so it took me now then. When you click on your name, it'll take you right to Basecamp. You'll have, of course, your three things. Now, if you hit, you can see here, this box needs to be checked because you're going to log in as Basecamp manager, pick which club. For me, it's Early Risers, and then hit go. It'll take you to Basecamp. Once you get there, let me go here and I'll show you. The main thing you want to look at are any pending requests. As I say, normally the VPE or the president will do this, but it's good to just know that you can do it too. There are, this is what the screen looks like. There are no pending requests. So I don't have anything to approve. So let's go out of this. Oh, wait a minute, is it this one? Oh, come on. Why is that not taking me back to? Shouldn't that take me back to the main? Well, let me try it that
Once
way.
you're in Pathways, you have to go back.
Okay, there I am. Sorry about that. Are you guys familiar with Leadership Central? In case you're not, this is what we've been talking about. When you click on that menu, you get a sub-menu. Here's Club Central, Club Officer Tools, Brand Portal, Speech Contest. And if you have an opportunity, play around with this. But what I want to focus on right now is Club Central. And you can see I have two clubs here. I'm the secretary at Bon Appetit and VPE at Early Risers. So it'll give you your club. I'm going to select Early Risers. Now here's all of the tools and tracking that you have available. I can add a membership. I can submit an education award because remember, you are also the Basecamp manager. So if you approve somebody in Pathways, you still have to come here and submit that education award. Here's the other one, Club Officer Assignment. Let's click on that so you can see what that looks like. And you have a drop-down list of your members. Jean is our president. Started 11/18/20, term ends 6/30/21. So you can see we're on an annual. There's all of our officers and their term. So, excuse me. All right, let's go back to take a look at something else. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here's the club roster. You can keep this, make sure you keep this up to date. It gives you name, whether or not they're enrolled in Pathways, contact information. You can edit it and print it out. And then this one will take you directly to the Distinguished Performance Report. So here's our club. You can see our base, 15 members. Right now we have 13. Excuse me. Been talking too long. So we need to get to 20. And this tells us where we are. You know, we have these goals have been met. So we've met up here 5 goals. So that's distinguished level. If we can get to 20, we need to get to 7 for select distinguished and 9 for president's distinguished. And the other thing I want to do is go back to Leadership Central for a moment. Does anybody have any questions about this submenu here? Okay. Go back to Leadership Central and click on Club Officer Tools. What you get here is Club Officer Roles. And this gives you a summary of all the roles. There's a little tutorial that you can go to for each officer's role. Like click on Secretary's role. I'm not going to go through all of that. But anyway, you get the point. There's a good resource here. And I also wanted to show you, I think it's here, here it is, the Club Leadership Handbook. This is the book we were talking about. So I'm going to download that. Okay, everybody see that still? You can download this for free. It's, I don't know how many, it's about 60 pages, but it has a lot of stuff that gives you things like the Toastmasters Promise and what have you. But down here, and it talks about, the structure of Toastmasters International and what have you. But here are all the roles, and you can go down and read and learn even more about your role as secretary. Okay, I am going to stop sharing. Here we are. And open it up for questions. Any questions? Oh, gosh. Okay. Now, Susan, you said you've been secretary for a while, so I would like for you to share with us what's your best tip for being a club secretary?
Well, I have a template for the minutes that I can just fill in, like for the educational meeting part, who did what speeches, the times that were recorded for each speaker, who won best table topics or best speech, what the word of the day was, all that. So if I have that printed out, then I do a better job on the minutes than if sometimes I don't have it printed out, or I have an old one and I just try to like go over what I did before and it gets confusing. So it's better just to have a clean copy and be able to record everything. And it makes it easier to do the minutes to send out to everyone. Otherwise, it's kind of confusing. And sometimes I get on, you get busy and you don't get one printed out and you try to do it a different way. It doesn't work that well. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a very good point. If you have a pre-printed form,
right,
and you consistently follow that form,
right.
it becomes easier.
Oh, yeah.
Amy, do you have a tip you'd like to share with everybody? I know you've only been secretary for about a year now, 6 months. What's your favorite tip?
I'm not sure if I have a tip, honestly.
Okay.
What I do in the meeting, I'm editing as we go. I'm editing on the Word document,
Okay, on the form there.
on the form as we go.
Excellent.
I used to write it down, but I don't do that anymore.
So real-time editing. Yeah, I know one of the things, I'm in Amy's club, and the one thing that I notice about her, the minutes are out, like 10 minutes after the end of the meeting. So she's doing them in real time. Karen, do you have any tips for secretaries that you would like to share with us?
Oh, thank you, Ken. Thank you so much for this training. I learned so many things, and I'm going to do more experimenting in FreeToast
Oh,
because you showed me a few things that I didn't, those little icons, I hadn't really explored all of them to see what kind of reports you can generate.
excellent. Very good.
As far as a tip for being a secretary, I mean, we mentioned it before. if you're going to have a major role in the meeting, get someone else to take the notes for you. Someone, like you said, that you're either mentoring into the role or someone who's had experience with the secretary role. I'm not yet to the point where I can edit online my secretary notes. I would get way too distracted trying to do that, but I appreciate people who have that ability. I still write them by hand, and then I have to decipher my own handwriting in order to print it up. But being able to upload them to the Free Toast Host Club site is great, because then
Yes, I forgot to show you that, but you can upload those minutes, and it's great. It's a great place to store them. I have tons that are sitting on my hard drive I need to upload.
yeah. Well,
Gene, oh, I'm sorry.
I wish I could do it with the new member forms, because those you're supposed to keep forever as treasurer.
Gotcha. Well, you know what you can do is put them in a PDF format, and then save them in the cloud or something like that. It'll do. Gene, do you have any comments you'd like to share with the group here?
No,
Do you have any questions?
no.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for attending tonight's class. I hope you found it worth your time. And as long as you have my contact information, please feel free to get in touch if there's anything I can do to help you. And if you can't find those documents on the District 115 website, just shoot me an email and I'll get them to you. Anything else we need to go over, Karen? We're all done, I think.
No, I think we are done, and you will get credit for attending the secretary makeup training. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and thank you so much, Ken. Lots of great information.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Good night, everybody. Stay safe.
Night.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.